yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, the Paris Paralympic Games gets underway today in France. Former world champion lost out in the U.S. Open first round. In football, NFF unveiled Super Eagles list for AFCON qualifier against Benin Republic and their counterparts. Details of this and many more will yours when we return from the break. Welcome back, Sports Talk, and Kingsley Emmanuel is here.
Thank you very much for having me, Steve. Very happy to be here this morning.
Let's get started, of course, from the local scene where 20 Nigerian athletes are competing at the 2024 World Athletics Under-20 Championship in Lima, as in Peru, joining others about 1,700 athletes from over 134 countries.
Yeah, but I think it's another moment where we're going to look at, our athletes going out there, of course, to do something great this time around. We understand, of course, this is actually more like a breeding ground where, of course, we tend to look at those who possibly give us a very good representation, at the senior level. This is, of course, a ground where we're able to, of course, breed the likes of Favour Philly, and the rest of them. This is where they actually came up and, of course, put themselves on the limelight. I think for me, it's going to be another opportunity where the athlete this time around will be looking forward to also put themselves on the limelight, make themselves, of course, more popular, in athletics. Hope that this time we're going to even do better than we did last time. I think last time we were able to finish third with just 4 gold medals. We hope that this time around there will be an improvement with what we did, last time. And taking a look at the athletes on ground, I think they are very much ready for this one.
Talking about athletes on ground, Nigeria has 9 male and 11 female athletes representing the games. Notably, participants among them include Caleb John, Okon Sunday, and Chidera Ezeako, who will compete in the 100 meters and the 200 meters event. Gafari Badmut will take on the 400 meters event for Nigeria, while Goodluck Fiaku competes in the high jump event. In the women's category, Justina Yapoha and Choma Weke, Precious Zeko will race in the 100 meters, while we saw Taiwo Kundore running in the 400 meters event. Chioma Wanchuku is among the contingent, where Favour Oya and Elia Onoyoevo are all key contenders in the 100 meters and the relay event. This championship is not only a platform to showcase their talent, like you mentioned, the discovery ground, but also a very crucial step as they prepare to make careers in athletics.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, we'll see how it goes. And I think when you take a look at it, we also saw some of this name in the Paris Olympic game.
Right.
The likes of Ella Onojoveo. She was also there at the Olympic game. Josina Onyepo Bayan was also there at the Paris Olympic game. And I think for me, it's a good one for this athlete who also made it, to the Under-20 championship as well. They will also have another means of showcasing themselves and at least doing something better. They went to the Paris Olympic and couldn't maybe get something. I think it's another opportunity for them also to prove themselves once again, to Nigerians and to the world. So we'll just see how it goes, and they'll look forward to see what the athletes will be coming up this time around. If they can be able to do better than what we saw last time, finishing third, I hope this time they can possibly improve on that. Maybe taking first. I hope that, of course, that won't be a crime if we see ourselves, finishing first in this particular, under 20 championship. But you take a look at it, I think at this stage, the athletes, they are very much, hungry for success. And at this stage, they want to do everything they can to make sure they put themselves on the limelight. And I think with what we've seen on ground, they will be able, of course, to improve on the performance we saw last time.
Talking about Paris reminds me that the Paralympic Games gets underway today in Paris with the opening ceremony underway as we speak. And Kingsley, this is yet another showcase for Paralympians from Nigeria to Ghana medals. Of course, you are aware at the opening ceremony today, after the opening ceremony today, there will be table tennis events, and Nigeria is expected to kick off that tomorrow. What do you expect from this Team Nigerian contingent to the Paralympic Games? We understand they will take part in just about four sports and so on. And these are, do I say, areas where Nigeria, have some strong advantage: table tennis, weightlifting, and badminton as well.
I think for me, this time, of course, we understand that our para-athletes has always, put smiles on the faces of Nigeria over time. If you take a look at it, they even have more medals than the able-bodied athletes. 80 medals to the para-athletes so far in the history of the Olympics, and then 27 for the able-bodied athletes. So for me, anytime, any day, you always, have that huge faith, on the para-athlete. Last time at the Paralympic game, they were able to, they came back home with 10 medals. And of course, was really, of course, a commendable one. When you take a look at how poor even the able athletes, performed last time, but the para-athletes were able to come back with about 10 medals. This time, we're going to be going to the Paris Paralympic game this time with 24 athletes. And talking about the 24 athletes, we're participating in 4 sports, which is the para table tennis, the para badminton, the para powerlifting as well. And then we'll also participate, I think, in one other sport. So for me, I think if you take a look at it, the athletes, they are very much prepared. They're looking very much optimistic. I think they had about 2 weeks camping in Germany before they went down to Paris, this time around. So I think they've actually gotten a little bit, of preparation ahead of this one. And for me, I think the athletes are very much looking at the fact that the bonus fee has also been increased. I think that's also a huge level of motivation, where winning a gold medal, you go home with about $15,000, silver medal, $10,000, and as bronze, $5,000. That's for me a very high level of motivation for the para-athlete. And I think for me, looking at this, I think they will definitely go out there and do their best this time. So for me, I think a little bit of preparation for them, but I hope that, yes, the athletes, of course, will do their best at the end of the day.
The athletes, in this instance, tomorrow will be Nigeria's Kayode Alabi and Faith Ubazo, who have been drawn against formidable pair from the British axis, Joshua Sansi and William Tome. The match will begin from the round of 32, with both teams aiming to advance through the early stages of the competition. In the men's double, Alabi will team up with Victor Farinoi to take on strong Chinese duo of Hang Zhuzhazin and Peng Wenliang. This challenging encounter will start from the round of 16 with the aim to secure a place in the quarterfinal. Para tennis, of course, has a very rich history at the Olympic Games, and being one of the 8 founding sports since the first games started in 1960. A lot of attention will be on it later in just about 24 hours or so from now. Like Kingsley did allude there, Nigerians have gotten more medals at the Olympic Games from para games than we've seen of the able-bodied athletes. So we hope this tradition will continue. But still talking about the Paris Olympic Games, Kingsley, we understand that the well-known commercial company has announced the sponsorship of the Nigerian badminton player Eniola Balaji for the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games. This is what we expect. A lot of corporate sponsorship for these athletes aim at giving their very best for Nigeria.
For me, I think it's a good one. This is what we've been beckoning on. This is what we've been glamoring for corporate bodies, to come, of course, give these athletes a lift. And for me, from what we've seen at this point in time, it will be a rosy tournament, if you ask me, for Eniola Balaji. I would just hope that she'll be able to complement this with a very a good performance, of course, at the Paralympic game. And I think as well, her hard work so far has been the reason why, she has gotten this particular level of, sponsorship. If you take a look at it, she's the first African gold medalist in the World Para, Championship. And that alone, of course,
she's ranked number 3.
They're ranked number 3, of course, in the global ranking in badminton. So for me, I think it's a good one, and that's why, of course, we'll look forward to see our athlete performing well. Because when you perform well, when you're on the limelight, when you're on the lips of everyone, most of these corporate bodies, of course, will notice you. That was how we saw the likes of Favor Philly was noticed, even Toby Amusan at some point, where we saw some corporate bodies coming to give them, some level of sponsorship. So for me, I think it is a good one for Eniola. We hope that she's going to go there this time and be able to do something great. Last time, I think in the Olympic Games for the able-bodied athlete, we saw Onoluwapo Okperi. He's actually the first badminton player in Nigeria to make a double appearance at the Olympic. He was there at the Tokyo Olympic game and also in the Paris Olympic game as well. But his last outing was not really that fantastic. He came back without a medal. We hope that Eniola Bolaji in the Paralympic game will be able to, of course, to see how to put smiles on the faces of Nigeria when it has to do with the badminton event this time.
Well, let's stay away from that and quickly now go to the U.S. Open in Flushing Meadows. That's in New York, where I must say that there has been some scare as the last Grand Slam of the year gets underway. Emma Raducanu, remember how way back in 2021, she came as a qualifier, did win the U.S. Open. But this time around, Kingsley, she got knocked out in the very first round of the U.S. Open by Sophia Kenin. We talked about it the other day. Sophia Kenin has some experience, but it looks like the rest of the lady from Britain, Emma Raducanu, was just not enough ahead of the first game at the U.S. Open female category.
Yeah, it was not just enough for you. Sit down there, Mr. Sherry. We saw her, struggled in that encounter. It ended in a 6-1, 3-6, 6-4. A little bit of struggle you see down there for Emma Raducanu. For me, I think in the last 4 years, it's been an abysmal outing for Emma Raducanu in the U.S. Open. This is a competition she won in 2021. 2022, she was also ousted out in the first round of the competition. 2023, she couldn't compete because of injury. And now 2024, she's also been ousted out in the first round of the competition. So the last 4 years has been a very, very abysmal outing.
3 years?
Yeah, 3 years. Has been a very, very abysmal outing for Emma Raducanu in the U.S. Open. So for me, I think she still has a lot to do. She still has a lot, of course, to work on herself. She has to build on her confidence. She has to see how to, of course, get her game right. I think her confidence level has really dropped, and that's why we're seeing this struggle for Emma Raducanu. I think she still has a lot. We understand, yes, injury has not been the best of her friend. She just came back from an ankle and a wrist injury. Of course, coming back, and we thought, of course, she was going to build herself and get a very good performance. But, the poor performance still continues for Emma Raducanu. And coupled with the fact that she has not been consistent with her coaches, some time now, also possibly might, be what could be the reason why we're seeing this poor performance from her. So I think for me, Emma Raducanu should just go back, try to get a physiotherapist, somebody who could actually, as I beg your pardon, a psychologist, someone who could actually bring back that confidence, to her, in order for her to see how to bounce back strongly. For me, it's been abysmal performance in the last 3 years in the life of Emma Raducanu.
Well, Emma Raducanu sent off from New York. She's going back to the UK, but she has $100,000 US, as compensation for taking part in the first round of the 2024 US Open. Meanwhile, our opponent, Sophia Kenin, will now have to wait for either Jessica Pegula or Shebe Rogers in an All-American second round meeting. Still looking at what happened yesterday at the U.S. Open in the female category, Naomi Osaka made a powerful return to the U.S. Open because she defeated number 10 seed Jelena Ostapenko 6-3, 6-2, straight set win for Naomi Osaka. Is this an indication that she is back after going through family relationship?
I think for me, it's too early for me to say she is back. This one lady, of course, that have actually rocked the world #1 in the WTA. And this is a tournament she's won as well for herself. I think she's won this year twice. And for me, is a little bit of a familiar ground for her, where you take a look at, how far she's been. But since she gave birth to her daughter, Shai, it's not been that rosy. We've seen her struggled in a couple of tournaments, of course, this season. Hasn't really gotten the best of performance. I think the best we saw from her, I think, was at the Wimbledon, where she gave where she gave Iga Swiatek a run for her money. But of course, Iga Swiatek was able to use the experience, of course, to get past her in that particular one. But getting past her opponents in the first round, I don't think for me we should give her that huge confidence, or we should have that huge confidence on her. We should be able to see Emma Raducanu, I beg your pardon, Naomi Osaka at least get to the semi-final of a tournament, and then we could possibly say she's gradually getting back her mojo. So for me, I think there's still a lot for Naomi Osaka to do.
And in different first round of the US Open for 2024, you've seen world #1 Iga Swiatek in the female category face a very tough challenge. But however, she was able to overcome it 6-4, 7-6 in a match that lasted nearly 2 hours on the Arthur Ashe Stadium at Flushing Meadows in New York. World #1 struggling to overpower our opponents.
I think for me, we've seen a little bit of struggle setting in the game of Iga Swiatek. Taking a look at her performance right from the Paris Olympic game, where she got a bronze medal, and then coming back to the Cincinnati Open, she was beaten in the semi-final by Aryna Sabalenka, and now the US Open, and she's struggling in the first round of the competition. Not the kind of performance you expect from Iga Swiatek on a very good day, but it is what it is at the moment. And taking a look at it, if she has to go far, it means she really has to step up her game, because as the competition progresses, it gets tougher, and you have to bring out your A game in order for you to see how to make it down to the top. So for me, I think Iga Swiatek should see how to step up her game to avoid struggling going forward.
Well, let's stay away from the female and see what has happened in the male category, where it's been a lot of struggle as well. We've seen one or two big names crash out, especially we've seen Stefanos Tsitsipas, crash out in the very first round. Kingsley, Tassanasi Kasanowski beat Stefanos Tsitsipas, this player from Greece, saw a 7-6, 4-6, 6-3, 7-5 win over Stefanos Tsitsipas. Tsitsipas never reaching, let's say, his potential in tennis.
It's so unfortunate. So unfortunate. These are players anytime, any day, of course. You expect, of course, to maybe get to the top, but at the end of the day, you still see them, struggle. Especially at this point where the game just got started and you're just being ousted out. It's so unfortunate.
Some people think that he has an abdominal issue in the course of the game, so that could be responsible for his performances on the night.
Yes, I think also that might also be the reason. But even at that, of course, you still expect some of these players, the likes of Stefanos Tsitsipas, the likes of Zverev, Medvedev, though they are still in the competition, apart from Tsitsipas, who has been ousted out, to really step up their game, to live up to expectation, not seeing them being ousted out from the competition. Zverev has been looking for a Grand Slam title for so many years now, but he's been there. The likes of Carlos Alcaraz has won about 3. The likes of Yannick Sinner has also won, and we've seen these top big-name players, not being able to get something for themselves. But it's so unfortunate. Yes, we understand the abdominal issue was also a reason for Stefanos Tsitsipas, but
he's talked about the abdominal issue thing. Yes, but leading up to this tournament, we've seen him win only one match at Cincinnati, and of course at the Canadian Open. In these two events, he won only one match, and that does look like a very top player. That's a player in shape ahead of a Grand Slam.
That's what I just mentioned. They've not really been fantastic over time, and that's why even at when you cough, you actually attribute his loss to maybe the abdominal pain and all of that. I still feel that Stefanos Tsitsipas should be that player that should be contending on the likes of Carlos Alcaraz and the likes of Yannick Sinner, even Novak Djokovic at this point in time. But they've not really lived up to expectation, so far. So I think there's still a lot of work that needs to be done by this player. They really have to step up above that average performance, because that's what I've just seen in their game so far. So we'll just wish him good luck going forward. But for me, it's really an abysmal out in this time at the US Open.
Well, abysmal for the man there from Greece. I'm sorry, it looks for me a difficult one for Stefanos Tsitsipas. He's having a torrid time in the last 3 years. One of the players who have been tagged the next gen in tennis, but then he has not really achieved his potential. We say congratulations to his conqueror, Kokkinakis, the man from Greece, Thanasi Kokkinakis. Kingsley, this is his very first win in the last 5 years at the US Open. I think the last time he won there was in 2019. Is this the return of Thanasi Kokkinakis?
Well, let's see how it goes, because as it progresses, it gets tougher. Will he be able to withstand the pressure? Will he be able to withstand the heat that will come as it progresses, of course, in the competition? We understand it hasn't that been rosy. But for him to take a step, since the past, you see probably might be a statement of intent, but you can't really give it up to him, because since the past, of course, was not really in the best of form. We just talked about the abdominal issue with him in that particular encounter. So for Kokkinakis, I think he should be very much optimistic if he wants to really get far in the competition this time.
Well, talking about upsets at the US Open, one nearly happened, but it took a comeback win for Britain's Dan Evans to take out his opponent in what has been described now as the longest match in US Open history. He beat Russia's Kashanov in 5 hours 35 minutes. In your very first game at the US Open, stretching over nearly 6 hours. Kingsley, this is a player that is age 34, and he was done at his time to 4-0 in the decider. What happened to this man from Britain? Mental and physical strength to win in nearly 6 hours.
Honestly, that was a huge stretch, you see, for Daniel
Five-setter?
Five-setter. And for me, I think the man was so determined in that encounter. You see how the game actually went. He was able, of course, to hold his own. His strengths, he was able to put up that strength mentally and also physically to make sure, of course, he get past his opponent. I think that this particular
6-7, 7-6, 7-6, and 4-6, 6-4 win there for Evans Raducanu from. It looks like a difficult US Open, especially in the first round, because there was a scare for the world #1 himself, Yannick Sinner from Italy. There's been a lot of talk about how he was allowed to participate at the US Open, but then he is there at the US Open. And in the very first round, there was scare from American Mackenzie McDonald, who could have sent out the world #1 at the very first round, but it didn't happen after all.
Yeah, it didn't happen after all, and Yannick Sinner, of course, was able to go through. I think all eyes, of course, all eyes are on him at this point in time.
Because of the banned substance?
Yes, because of the banned substance. Everyone wants to see if he can, pull up that performance we used to see. Because all eyes, everybody now is now thinking probably Yannick Sinner was using a prohibited substance to enhance his performance all this while. So everyone, of course, will be looking forward to see if he'll be able to replicate those performances. Of course, will be seen this time at the US Open. It was a little bit a struggle for him in this one, but I think he was able to skate through. So we'll see how far he'll be able to go. Can he maybe get down to the semi-final or to the final? At least that would be a statement of intent for him that, of course, he's been competing clean, that he's been using his strength so far to compete. So let's just see how far he'll be able to go this time at the US Open.
One man that had what looks like a not too difficult one was Daniil Medvedev. He took out Dusan Lajovic 6-3, 6-3, 6-3, 6-1. Kingsley, talking about Daniil Medvedev, it looks like a man who has a mission in the US. He's had 27 wins, no loss in the very first set of the US Open, and now no other person in the area has that kind of, in fact in the Open area has that kind of a record. 27 wins, no loss at all after winning the very first set at the US Open. Is this the Russians beginning to at least getting yet another Grand Slam?
For me, I don't really
or
think
improving
so.
On his one record.
I don't really think so. Daniil Medvedev has been one player, yes, having some impressive record. But when it matters most, you see him fall short. Sometimes you see him get to the semi-finals or the finals of some of this Grand Slam. But when it matters most, of course, you see him not living up to expectations. So the finishing touches has been the problem of Daniil Medvedev. He's a very good tennis player. But when he gets to the top, for him to get the job done, it's always a problem. I think this year we've seen him lost, I think, a final. I think it was either the Wimbledon or I think it was the Wimbledon to say, So for me, I think Daniel Medvedev, he should see how to make sure he gets his game right, of course, when it matters. But very impressive performance on the first round of the competition. But how far can he go? Can he withstand the test of this particular one? Can he get past the likes of Carlos Alcaraz, Yannick Sinner, to talk about Novak Djokovic? Because those are the men we've always seen at the top, at this point in time. Can he break through to get this one? I think that would be the mountain for him to climb this time. Let's see how it goes for Daniel Medvedev.
Talking about breakthrough, one man could not break through at the U.S. Open, and is no other than Felix Auger-Aliassime, who suffered a very first round exit after he was beaten by a relatively unknown Czech Republic teenager, 18 years of age, 6'2", 6'4", 6'2". Jakub Mesik from the Czech Republic taking out Aliassime. What is going on here? A lot of expectations have been placed on him.
Yeah.
But when you lose out in the first round of a competition like this, it doesn't show your class. He's world number 19, beaten by an 18-year teenager who is coming to the U.S. Open for the first time.
For me, I think it's another, sad outing, very bad outing for Felix Auger-Aliassime once again. This is a competition, at least your first round opponent, you should be able to get past, the teenager, at this point. But falling short, in that manner, for me, I think is a very, very disappointing one for a player like Felix Auger-Aliassime. This is what I just talked about. We just talked about Stefano Tsitsipas being ordered by Kokinakis, and Felix Auger-Aliassime also follows suit. For me, I think it's not a very good one for these players. These are players, of course, who expect, of course, to live up to expectation. Not being hosted out in the first round of a competition like this. This is a Grand Slam, not an ATP tournament to say. I think this is where they have to bring out their best. This is where they have to bring out their A game. But seeing them falling short at this stage, it tells me, it tells the fact that they've not really done well over time. But we can also attribute it to the high level of competition that is coming up. Some of these teenagers are also not letting things down. They are trying most kind of course to step up their game. But that does not mean that some of these big name players should fall short at this point. It's for me really a very, very ugly performance, you say, for Felix Auger-Aliassime.
Talking about some new players coming through, and this time reminds me of Pattia Pellucci from Italy, who took out world number, Stan Wawrinka, one man who has won the Grand Slam 3 times. He was given a white card to come to the U.S. Open, but he has come and has been sent back immediately by Pattia Pellucci from Italy. 6-4, 7-6, 7-6 he ended. He lost in straight sets, and it looks like a very disappointing one, especially for the organizer of the U.S. Open that granted him a white card.
Yeah, for me, I think if you take a look at Stan Wawrinka, he's not been the best, over time. When did the last time we even heard much about his name, and all of that? So, for me, it's not really a surprise for me.
It's 3 times Grand Slam champion. Well, talking about winners at the U.S. Open at the 2024, which got underway just about 24 hours ago. Novak Djokovic is showing that yes, he can go to the number 25 because he won his very first game, though from a relatively unknown opponent, Aldo Abor, in the first round. It looks like the man from Serbia can challenge for Grand Slam 25.
He's on his A game already, yes, after winning
6-2, 6-4 straight sets.
Yes, he's on his A game, and of course you expect that from Djokovic, being paired with such a player. After winning the Golden Slam at the Olympics, I think that gave him that high level of motivation going forward, and I think he wants to do much, of course, in this particular US Open. It will be a very good way, of course, for Djokovic to end the season with Grand Slam number 25, surpassing that record of Margaret Court. I tell you, it will be a very huge one after winning the Golden Slam at the Olympic game, which was something he was looking for, in his career. So I think for me, the future is bright at this moment for Djokovic, except anything setting. So we'll just look forward to see what comes up for him.
Talking about anything setting in, could it be today? Because Novak Djokovic has Laslo Djere from same country, Serbia, to contend with in the second round of the U.S. Open. Do you think that Laslo can oust the world number 2 in tennis?
I don't really think so. Though we understand that upsets are bound to happen, but I think Djokovic still have an edge, in this particular one. I'm not really seeing him being upset, in this particular one. So we'll just look forward to see a very impressive. When you take a look at his the performance in his first game, having a very impressive performance, you will say he has what it takes to get past his opponent as well.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. Later today, we'll see Novak Djokovic in action against Laszlo in what promises to be, do I say, a war of the Serbians at the U.S. Open. That's much we can take from the U.S. Open. We want to take a break now. When we return from the break, we'll look at what is happening latest from the world of football from Nigeria and across to Europe. There's a lot of transfer. You have just about 48 hours to the end of transfer for the 2024-2025 football season. Who can make that shock move? Will it be Victor Osimhen? Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed. When we return from a break, we'll see if it's possible for Victor Osimhen to move from Italy. Welcome back, and we told you earlier that the Paralympic Games is getting underway today in Paris, and Nigerians are in hot prepared form for medals, especially in table tennis and badminton. And beyond that, we told you about the U.S. Open that is lighting up the city of New York in the last 48 hours. And we saw how some big names have crashed out. The Raducanu are out of the competition. And we talk about the male category too. We've had one or two big names, especially Stefano Tsitsipas crashing out of the competition. There has been scare for some of the top athletes at the tennis event. And one of them was Carlos Alcaraz. Remember him? The man from Spain who's gotten 4 Grand Slams already at a very young age. But Kingsley, the man from a very young man of dressing, from Australia, nearly pushed him out in the first round. He went 2, got the second set, and he had to dig deep for Carlos Alcaraz to oust him in the 3rd and the 4th set. Carlos Alcaraz has to be careful. Having lost out in the gold medal event at the Olympic Games, it looks like his form is not too sure, but he's young, just about 20 years of age. He can power on at the U.S. Open.
For me, I think that's the best, mindset you should have at this point in time. No matter what happened, of course, in the Olympic Games, where he was beaten by Novak Djokovic in the finals, I think you should see how to brace up. I think the man is not really in the right mind at this point in time to say, because you take a look at what happened after the Paris Olympic. We saw him at the Cincinnati. Well, I think he was also out in the 3rd round. And the man was not happy. We saw how he smashed his racket on the ground and was not really happy with that performance, of course, he put up in that one. And coming down to this U.S. Open, we saw that little bit of struggle for him in the first round. It's not the kind of performance you expect from.
Well, a lot of people have said that his performance is not that top-notch, especially because he had what they call a slight injury in training on Saturday ahead of this fixture. He had a right ankle injury, and so maybe that could have slowed him down, especially in the second set where we saw 2 from Australia, try winning that second round. But at least he dug deep. That's what you expect of star players. Yeah. In spite of the right ankle injury, he got the 3rd and the 4th set.
Yes, that's what you expect, from a player like Carlos Alcaraz, And the thing for me, he's trying to see, of course, how to put whatever has happened to him in the last 2 tournaments behind and try to push up. It could have been a very huge embarrassment or a disappointing one seeing him being ousted out in the first round of the competition. And for me, playing with injury I think is one thing that you notice you notice from these star players. We saw Novak Djokovic playing with knee injury. I think was at the Wimbledon. He was still able to push through, and same thing with the likes of Carlos Alcaraz. We hope that the injury, of course, won't affect him really much going forward, and let's see if he can be able at least to withstand his opponents with this one.
Let's get to football proper now. We'll start on the local scene where Shola Ibrahim Adewi has been appointed as the new head coach of the Nigerian National League side, KB United. Kingsley, this is KB United trying to see how they can get their task in the National League underway.
We'll just see how it goes. We understand that it's not going to be easy this time in the National League. The top teams down there are also looking forward for promotion. KB United are one of them. Wiki Tourists are also one of them, where we've seen them getting the services of Aduma Ikaba, the former coach of Plateau United. So it's really going to be much intense.
It's nice when you see these top coaches work in the lower league, you know, the National League.
Yeah, that's to tell you that at least, you know, some of these local coaches, some of this NNL team, they really improve, especially in terms of finance. You talk about Mighty J the other day, looking forward to get, you know, Samson Siasia after he came back, you know, from the 5-year ban, you know, by FIFA.
At a princely sum of about 10 million naira,
yeah,
that's quite a big one.
A huge one.
Well, let's still look at some football stories for you on the local scene here in Nigeria. We understand there has been a new management board in place for Nasarawa United. Nasarawa United, of course, you know, just came back into the top level league here in Nigeria after being ousted for a while. We understand the new board consists of 6 chairman and 6 other members. We hope this board will do their best ensuring that Nasarawa United do not return back to the lower league.
Yes, we just wish them the best. You know, dissolving the board who brought them back and now putting up a new board. Hope that, of course, won't bring, you know, some kind of, you know, odd feeling, you know, in the team. We just hope that this new board will be able to put things right, you know, for Nasarawa United. Coming back to the Nigerian Premier Football League, it need a lot of, you know, a readjustment, and I think that's what the government, you know, they've done. We'll just wish them the best. Premier
League football gets underway this weekend here in Nigeria. There will be the opening match, Kingsley. We understand it will be Rangers International versus Academy Warriors in the very first game or opening match of the season 2024-2025. That match comes up this weekend. What a return of football. Rangers International nearly been ousted by unknown side in the CAF Champions League, but they have to build up for yet another season in Nigerian football.
Yeah, I think Rangers have stayed in the competition. It was Economy that was ousted.
No, I said they almost been knocked out by the team from Comoros.
Yes.
He played the 1-1.
It was a slim victory.
It was a very slim victory, 1-1 in the last game.
Yeah, we hope for the best for Rangers this time. They are the defending champion of the Nigerian Premier Football League. We hope that, you know, they'll be able to get back and see how maybe they can defend the title they won last time. We understand this season is not going to be that rosy for them because playing in the continent and playing in the league and as well participating in other domestic cup might be a very, very huge task for them. But we just wish that they have the players on ground to be able to, of course, execute some of these matches. So we'll see how it goes for Rangers. I think all eyes will be on them. All eyes will also be on the coach, Fidelis Electrico, looking at the way he was able to carry out the team last. And that was his first, you know, time with them, with the players, and he was able to take them to win the title. So I think all eyes will be on them this time. I will look forward to see what comes up. For Economy Warriors, I think they should just brace up because what they did against the Benin Republic side, DJFC, in the CAF Confederation Cup was not really a very impressive outing for me. They should just brace up, or else the hits that might be coming might take them back to the relegation.
Well, let's stay away from the local scene now and just get national. And Kingsley, Super Eagles squad list ahead of their encounter against Republic of Benin in just about 2 weeks from now has been released. Notable player on the squad is Victor Osimhen. Do you have some other big names or any other player you think should have been there on the list that has been left out?
I think the list is fair when you take a look at it. Victor Osimhen making the list when everyone thought probably the NFF would take action based on what happened between him and Finidi George, but made the list effortlessly, you know. And for me, it's a good one because we need him at this point in time. We want to qualify for the AFCON. The World Cup qualifiers also.
Yeah, talking about the NFF trying to maybe not pick Victor Osimhen. There's a new coach now. Lombardia is in the reveal as the coach of the Super Eagles, and you think the new coach will want to build on the best players available and maybe put the past behind Victor Osimhen?
Yes, I think the coach will want to work with the best the Super Eagles have, at this point in time. You talk about Victor Osimhen is one of prolific striker. Is one man, of course, who can make us get the goals. We saw what happened in the AFCON. Despite the fact that he couldn't score, but he was able to create those chances. He was able to give us that edge of getting down to the finals of the African Cup of Nations. So we need a player like him at this point. And we understand we have other strikers, the likes of Victor Boniface, talk about Kelechi Iheanacho. But when you talk about Victor Osimhen, he has that distinguished quality at every point in time. So I think the coach will want to work, of course, with the best players we have on ground.
Well, for the benefit of those who have not seen the list, I think Taiwo Owonoyi is on the list. We have William Troost-Ekong as well on that list of players that will represent Nigeria against Benin Republic and Rwanda. Victor Osimhen, I mentioned to you, is prominent on that list despite what has happened in the past. The goalkeepers, of course, Nwabili is still there in that squad, and I think we understand there has been no mention about the captain of the side, Ahmed Musa, but for some people have queried that, but let's hope that somehow we will find a list of it. But let me have your opinion about the new coach, Bruno Labbadia from Germany. A lot of people have talked about his lack of experience at national team level, but he's had experience of rescuing teams that were almost going into relegation in the German Bundesliga, not one, not two, and not three. So you think because Super Eagles of Nigeria need to be rescued from a slide, that's why he had the nod for this job.
Yes, and of course, I think for me it's a good one where you take a look at it. At some point, bringing Labbadia at this point, who is a relegation specialist, like some people will say, knows how to make teams survive relegation. And for me, I think at this point in time, you take a look at, even though he's an expert, no matter what it is, you take a look at the space of time we have. Yes, okay, let's say the World Cup qualifiers, will come up later. We have the AFCON qualifiers, in our front at this point in time. You just have about 1 week to prepare with these players that have been called. I don't think he was the one who even sat down to call these players. I think the NFF were the one who put up these players. It's the space of time for me is not commendable. They would have probably maybe have employed him since, or maybe given like a month to see how to maybe take a look at the players for himself by himself and call the best, of course, call the players that he wants. So the space of time and it's not really good. And we're playing against Benin Republic, who won us last time in the World Cup qualifiers. So it's not about names. We have the names. We went to the World Cup qualifier with names, and we were not able to win. Now this is the AFCON qualifiers. Still the same thing that beat us in the World Cup qualifiers, and the coach is using just 1 week to prepare. We just hope for the best. Well,
it's not about names. We hope for the best, according to Kingsley there. But talking about hoping for the best, can we have a very good, do I say the best of draws in this year's UEFA Champions League? Because we understand 36 teams for the very first time will enter into the league phase of the competition, and draws for both the UEFA Champions League and the Europa League as well will take place tomorrow. What do we expect of 36 teams in the UEFA Champions League for the first time in the history of the competition?
I think this Champions League this time is going to take a new shape. Having 36 teams this time around, we're going to see more games, of course, being played, and it will take a lot, of course, for the team to be able to skate through. And we'll look forward to see what the draws, of course, will come up with for the Premier League teams, which we know, of course, are very much formidable.
Four Premier League teams.
Four Premier League teams, and Aston Villa this time, of course, is in the mix. So it's going to take a little, it's going to take a twist this time, where we see Aston Villa competing in the Champions League after some time. So let's just see how it goes.
There are 5 UEFA Champions League. Bundesliga side in this squad. We have 4 from Spain as well, 4 from England. That's quite a number coming from Germany, Bayern Munich, Leipzig, Bayern Leverkusen, Stuttgart, and of course are the teams coming in from there. There's 5 as well from Italy. Atalanta joining them this time around. Yeah. There's Bologna, there's Inter Milan, there's Juventus, and in that squad AC Milan as well. making over the team. 3 will come from France, Brest, Monaco, and Paris Saint-Germain. Talking about Brest, a very small city, will present the team in the UEFA Champions League, and that's a big one. We have 2 coming from the Netherlands, Feyenoord and PSV Eindhoven, while 2 as well will come from Portugal, Benfica and Sporting Lisbon. These are teams who are well known in the competition. Talking about Benfica reminds me and Sporting Lisbon reminds me of Cristiano Ronaldo, who is in the news again.
Yeah, the man is in the news, and of course will be honored by UEFA, taking a look at his contribution in the UEFA Champions League. You know, putting up about 140 goals.
All-time top scorer.
All-time top scorers in the Champions League, and about 183 appearances. So the man, of course, will be honored by UEFA, taking a look at his progress in the UEFA Champions League so far. Let's
get to the transfers now, because we have to begin to wind up. And talk about transfer reminds me that Yima Wagwa, remember him, captain of Rivers United, is now a player in the Saudi Arabian League. A lot of money coming the way of this man from Ogoni.
Honestly, impressive move for him. You know, after his contract expired, we thought Rivers United were going to renew his contract because he was very, very prolific for them. He was their captain. Today, I still wonder why they didn't renew his contract. But this is a very good move for him, playing in the 2nd division of the Saudi Arabian League. What if the team get promoted to the top flight? It means he'll be rubbing shoulders with the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo. So for me, I think it's a good move for Yima Wagwa. You talk about, you know, Saudi being, you know, the next line. Players want to go to Saudi because of the money. Don't forget the money factor also there for him. So for me, I think this is really a good one for Yima Wagwa. We've seen other MPFL players go to countries like Uganda. You know, we talk about Tanzania and the rest of them, but him going down to Saudi, I tell you, is a very good move, a very good job, of course, you will see from his agents.
Talking about players' movement, Olmo, of course, now have started for FC Barcelona in an encounter after making that transfer. Arsenal has a new defense, that's a midfield player in Mikel Merino.
Yes, Arsenal still trying, of course, to boost, you know, the midfield strength. We'll take a look at the fact that, you know, they are trying as much as they can to win the title this time around. The last 2 seasons has been a net success syndrome thing for Arsenal, and this time they want to change the narrative. We saw them, of course, putting up a very impressive performance in their last 2 games. One over the weekend was against Aston Villa, which they took a very huge, you know, revenge against. 2 goals to nil, and then now encounter for Arsenal. So for me, I think Mikel Arteta is trying as much as can to beef off his squad for the tax this season.
Right from the beginning of the transfer business, Victor Osimhen has been in the news. The transfer will end in just about 48 hours or so from now, and he looks like he may just not be moving from Napoli because his contract talks seem to be falling you know, on the face in Paris.
It's a very difficult one, Mr. Siri. The summer transfer window comes to an end on the 30th, and today is 28th, so we just have about 48 hours, you know, for the transfer window, of course, to come to an end. So it's a very disturbing situation. But as it stands now, Romelu Lukaku is in Napoli, and it's going to be difficult for, you know, Antonio Conte's eye to tilt towards Osimhen. So it's really a dicey one. We understand, of course, he's saying that Chelsea will have to pay him, I think, £500,000, you know, every week. That's £1 billion every week, and that's what everybody are clamoring for. Why don't you reduce your wage and then see if this club, of course, will consider? Napoli, on the other hand, are not making things easy for the man.
There's a release clause of about 85. Initially, it was 100 million, now reduced to 85. But it looks like Victor Osimhen will have to act fast. His agents will have to act fast because we have just 48 hours. There's been a lot of association with Chelsea. There's been with Arsenal. But we'll keep our fingers crossed. In the next 48 hours, we'll know whether Victor Osimhen will move now or it will be in January. Meanwhile, we'll have to begin to wrap up the show. And this is not good news coming from the Italian Serie A because Udinese has terminated the contract of Nigerian forward Isaac Success. Isaac Success has not been in the news for some time now. Of course, you know, as a national team player, former captain of Nigeria's War Under-20 side. But now his contract has been terminated by the Italian club side. What do we expect of Success in the next few days?
We hope, of course, he'll be able to get a club in the space of 48 hours. We understand, we saw his progress when he was at Watford in England, and then Watford was relegated, and then he moved down to Udinese. And I think for me, It's as a result of him, of course, not being able to put up a very impressive performance, and that's why his contract, of course, was terminated. But in the space of 48 hours, we hope that, of course, he gets another team.
Well, talking about Liverpool in the course of the transfer, a lot of people said they did not buy any player. Now they have gotten their goalkeeper from Valencia. Georgi Majavali is now a Liverpool goalkeeper.
Yes, I think for me they actually need that to at least beef up the goalkeeping department. It's actually needed at this point. For Arne Slot, I think his style of play is not that different from what Jurgen Klopp did, because Klopp do not really go for those big name players. He doesn't really even buy, and that's what we're seeing at this point in time. So when you take a look at the transfer business for Liverpool, you see a little bit economical, but they get the best. And we're looking forward to see what comes out from the goalkeeper this time.
Well, that will be for this edition of Sports Talk. We'll be back definitely at 6 p.m. Nigerian time for Sports Extraordinary. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlantic Television Network.